Hello my little Zehoovians. It's been a while since I've made a video. I don't know if you've noticed that or you've been so busy with school and everything that you haven't noticed at all. But I'll be honest with you, I lost a bit of oomph recently. The whole COVID-19, the whole lockdown, the whole home learning and then back to school thing has been really tiring and really emotionally tiring too. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, maybe it's just me, but I'm pretty sure you guys are probably feeling a bit like that too. And so I wanted to have a think and a reflection and make some craft that takes into account that we've had a really strange time and it's been very confusing. Because first off, we're told, right, you have to stay home. The only safe place to be is at home. You really can't see your grandparents unless you live with them. You can't see your friends, you can't go to the park, you can't hug people, you can't touch people, you have to stay 1.5 meters away, which is more than I can show you on this screen. And then we're told, okay, time to go back to school. Absolutely fine, off you go. Confusing, isn't it? It's confusing, it's a lot to take in. So what I wanted to do, and now that I'm feeling like, okay, it's time to address this, isn't it? It's time to think about all of this stuff, is I wanted to make a mobile with you guys using Magenta vids, which are nice and easy. So I've prepared some triangles and different colored paper. You can do triangles in different colored paper. You can do plain paper for this. You can have, I've got some cool pattern paper. You may have seen this with me before, but I'm using plain for this right now. And I'll show you a trick if you want to cut your triangles easily. So we're gonna make Magenta vids. Maybe I should tell you what else you'd like to use as well. I'm using an old wire hanger. You want one that's old, so you can do this to it, watch. When we bend it this way and that way, we'll have different places to hang our things from. And instead of it being all on the one line, we'll have a bit of space around. You'll see how it looks. So a wire hanger, if you don't have a wire hanger, a plastic hanger with a piece of wood maybe taped to it, or another hanger taped to it at cross sides, however works for you. Or you could just stick these up in the window as well. So we're going to make some triangles out of paper, right? If you want to do quite a few at a time, you can take a whole lot of paper like I've done, line it up together, and just carefully, and if it's not perfect, doesn't matter, carefully cut like that. I'll hold that bit, and then you end up with a whole lot at once. Yeah, all of those at once. Or you could do cardboard. I had more cardboard of this, but the cat saw that I was doing something with it, and so she decided, did I keep it to show you guys? She decided to decorate it for me. She ripped it up. This is what my cat did. So I decided I'm gonna do colored paper. Thanks, Saoirse. So you could also do, though, cardboard from an old cereal box would work just beautifully. And these would be more sturdy. And if you did something like this that are plain, you could decorate them however you want. But this is what I wanted to do. I was thinking about the different things that I missed when we were in lockdown, the things that I was looking forward to, the things that I'm starting to get back, and the things that I kind of miss about lockdown too, because some of it was good. Some of it was kind of nice. The world just slowed down a little bit, didn't it? We had time to breathe, and I liked that. So here's what I'm going to do. I think we need to remember that there are good things and bad things in every day. Good things and bad things in every week, month, year. And this year of 2020 is going to be a big mix. If we only had good things, if we only had birthday parties all the time, we'd find it really boring. So we do need a mix of things. But on my Magenta vids, before I put them together, because of course what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one triangle like this, and I'm going to take one triangle like this and make a lovely Magenta vid. But before I do that, that's really easy. That's the easy bit. I'm going to write on them things that are important. So I want to include the things that weren't so good as well as the things that were good. Because I think we have to remember all of this stuff. We need to think about it. So I actually made a list. I made a list. Here's my negative things first. This was what came out of lockdown for me. I was worried. I was a bit bored. Sad. We were stuck inside. There were no playgrounds. There were grumpy grown-ups. I was one of those grumpy grown-ups sometimes. And there was almost too much time with the family. Good things, either things that are coming back or things that I enjoyed from lockdown. Well, good things that are coming back, hugs. I'm looking forward to hugs, proper hugs with people, where I can actually, say hi, have a hug, even a handshake, touching people like that. Seeing my friends. I'm looking forward to Zehoo coming back whenever that happens, and hopefully it'll be as soon as possible. Parties, going to a party, sharing food with people like that, going to the zoo. And one of the things I enjoyed about lockdown was time with my family. But like I say, on the negative, there were times I thought, so much time with my family. So I'm sure you felt that too. Sometimes you think, I just want to go back home and be at homeschooling and be back with mum and dad all the time. And then sometimes you probably think, I'm so glad to go to school and do something different. So I'm going to put on the inside of this one, I'm going to put worry, because there was worry inside. That's just what happens. On the outside of this Magen David, though, I'm going to put something I'm looking forward to. And that is, like I said, hugs. Now, before I glue them together, I'm going to take a piece of string. This is thread. You can use whatever weight you want. Remember, you're going to have some length left to tie onto your hanger or whatever you're using. So I'm going to cut some. Oh, no, I'm going to cut some. I'm going to try a third time. There we go. And one end, I'm going to glue right on worry. I'm going to put glue right on worry because it's not going anywhere. We can push some of it away, but it's always going to be there a little bit, isn't it? So a bit of glue on worry, smush it out a bit. Yep. And then I'm going to take my string and I'm going to put that on the triangle so that, is that going to stick to show you? So that it's not poking out underneath. Not on this one, right? And on the top of that worry, I'm going to put hugs. Now make sure you don't line it up and make a perfect little sandwich like that. We don't want that. We want it to be a Magen David. Okay? There it is with hugs. And maybe you'll want to put something else on the back so that it says different things on the back. And then I'm going to tie it on this and show you later. But my next one, I wonder what colors I'll use for my next one. I think for my next one, I used orange and yellow there. I'm going to use kachol ve'adom. And what am I going to write here? Something I'm really looking forward to. I am looking forward to parties. Parties with cake and balloons. And do you think we'll ever go back to having candles on our birthday cake so we can blow out? I don't know, I wonder. And I'm going to write in here, stuck inside. I'm going to write stuck inside, I'm going to stick it right inside. Being stuck inside, although that's going to happen a bit now because of this weather. But I'm looking forward to parties. So, remembering what it was like feeling stuck inside, I'm going to cover that up, because it's still going to be there, with parties. Because I like birthday parties. I like cake, I like balloons, although we're not meant to have balloons, I like bubbles. You know why we're not meant to have balloons? The girls and I, my kids and I, we signed an agreement at the zoo a few years ago now that we wouldn't have balloons anymore because the plastic is so very bad for marine life and various animals. Now this time, I'm going to leave extra string down the bottom, and I'm going to show you why in just a sec. So I'm going to stick that onto my stuck inside. I'm going to stick my finger to it too. That's quite sticky glue. Yep. And I'm going to stick, oh, what have we done? See, now I've stuck the string to myself. There we go. Get that parties on there nice and quick before we have a big problem. There we go. Now that one, I've left a bit of a string, and I'm going to show you why. A bit of extra string, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so what I forgot to tell you is that you could use beads to weight down your Magen David a bit, because these are just paper. They're very lightweight. So, if you haven't got enough string, you can just slide it out. I've threaded the bead on, and it is fiddly. You might want grown-up fingers to have a go at this for you, or you actually probably would be better than me because I've got big grown-up fingers, and I think little kid fingers are much better for things like this. But, Okay, I found that really tricksy. So you may or may not decide to do that. But do you see how that one hangs down really nicely? And that one's sort of going to float a bit more. This definitely isn't a bad way of doing it, but if you have a bead and you have the patience, you might want to do that. And you would then just snip off not too close to it any extra thread if you want. Now, while I'm tying my beads on, I just wanted to say to you guys, it's really normal if you've got lots and lots of funny feelings about this time that we've gone through, and that really in a way we're still going through. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot for the grown-ups to take in, and it is absolutely a lot for kids to take in as well. So if you're still feeling any funny feelings, worried feelings, anything like that, or confused feelings, make sure you talk to the people in your family, in your school, whatever, whoever you feel like you can just say, hey, I've got some funny feelings going on. Because when we communicate, when we share our worries and our fears and the good things as well, things start to get a lot easier. So this sort of thing, writing them down is a great idea. Talking about them is also a really great idea. So here is my completed one so far. Oh, there we go. So you see how they're hanging there, and they're hanging nice and fairly straight because of the beads at the bottom. So I put things, I put Zehoo on this one and Grumpy Grown-Ups and left on the outside because I don't think they're going away anytime soon. I have the library. I'm so looking forward to going to the library. Family, I put on both sides of this Magen David. Hugs, parties, high fives, all sorts of good things I'm looking forward to. And inside are things like worry, boredom, even COVID, sadness, things like that. So that's what I made. I'm going to hang that up somewhere around the house. I'd love to see a picture of yours if you wanted to show me. Now, what's a good way to cheer ourselves up? Of course, with a book, you know how I am about books, but I think it was over the holiday program, I started to read to you guys some Khelm stories. Now, these don't have pictures. Do you remember the Khelm stories? They're the ridiculous ones. So I got this from you can see I've had this book a long time, my Yiddish folktales book. I think I got this one from my bat mitzvah. I think so, because the phone number for golds in the front doesn't even have a 9 in front of it. So I'm going to read you just a couple of Khelm stories, because they make us feel good, don't they? So, to remind everyone, in case anyone doesn't know, what's Khelm? What's this place about? So, since no angel ever has to perform 2 assignments at once, one angel carried a jar filled with intelligent souls, while another angel carried a jar filled with foolish souls, so that every town could have its town full. So presumably they were going to shake a little bit here, little bit here, keep going, little bit here, little bit here. One day, the angel with a jar of foolish souls happened to be passing Khelm. Since the region thereabouts has many hills and valleys, the angel lost his footing, slipped, and spilled the whole jar near Khelm. And since that time, all Khelmites have been fools. So the first story I'm going to read to you is a shofar in Khelm, because we love this one. One day a stranger arrived in Khelm, a very muddy town, and lost one of his boots in the mud. He looked everywhere but couldn't find it. Later, a Khelmite found it, but since no one in Khelm wore boots, people didn't know what it was. So they took the boot to the rabbi, and a meeting was called. Everyone looked at the boot, and the rabbi declared that it was a shofar, a ram's horn, because a shofar is long at the bottom and round at the top. So the Khelmites placed the boot inside the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, in the synagogue. It happened that the same stranger came back to Khelm and went to the synagogue to pray. When he saw his boot in the Holy Ark, he cried, "That's my boot! Let me have it!" But the Khelmites wouldn't believe him. They shouted that it wasn't a boot, it was a shofar. Well, they took the quarrel to the rabbi, who ruled that the boot was a shofar, but that the stranger should be paid 18 zlotys, just the same for his distress. And that's what was done. The stranger was paid 18 zlotys, which is a form of money, a sort of money, right? And Khelm blows a shofar with a boot. Can you imagine how would that smell? Yum. It'd be muddy, dirty, and I don't think that you'd get a great tekiah gedolah, even a small tekiah out of that one. Okay, another story. A cat in Khelm. People in Khelm didn't know about cats, and they lived with mice crawling in and out of every nook and cranny. At mealtimes, each householder had a rod at his table to drive the mice away. Then one day, a stranger came to Khelm and described a creature he had seen, an animal called a cat. which, if it was introduced into a house, drove the mice into their holes. The town of Chelm asked him to find such a creature, and then bought the cat for him for the enormous sum of, again, 18 zlotys. But the Khelmites didn't know that a cat could run away. Well, the cat was put on watch in a house, and the townspeople were delighted to see that it did scare off the mice. But one day, someone left the window open, and the cat took it into its head to leap out onto a roof. So the Khelmites called a meeting to figure out how to catch the cat. They decided, logically, to set the house on fire to make the cat jump to the ground. So they burned the house down, but the cat sprang to the roof of the next house. So they burned the second house down, but the cat sprang to the roof of a third house. So they burned the third house down, and so on, until they had destroyed half the town. Now, the last story is one of your favorite ones. Do you remember which one it is? It's the one about the snow. Once upon a time, a stranger came to Chelm and was taken ill. He needed to be led to the hospital, but it happened to be winter, and the Khelmites, who dearly loved the whiteness of snow, didn't want him to spoil it with his footprints. So they called a meeting to discuss the problem. At last, they arrived at a solution. They put the sick man on a board, and 4 of them simply carried him to the hospital. All right, guys. I miss you guys. I'd love to see pictures of your mobiles if you want to send them through. And I'm hoping that soon we can have a return date. But until then, I'll see you later. Bye.